The younger generation in developed countries is showing a declining interest in cars, signaling a shift in the long-standing love affair with automobiles. Ada Crandall, a 16-year-old high school student from Portland, Oregon, has been challenging the car-centric planning of her city for years. Despite her efforts, her family persistently asks when she will learn to drive, as obtaining a driver's license is often seen as a symbol of independence and glorified in society. However, more and more young people are questioning the societal emphasis on car use and opting to ignore or oppose driving well into their 20s and beyond. This changing attitude towards cars is influencing the implementation of anti-car policies in cities worldwide. From New York to Norway, an increasing number of cities and local politicians are passing laws that discourage car usage. These measures include removing parking spaces, closing roads, and revising urban planning to prioritize pedestrians over drivers. Paris's mayor, Anne Hidalgo, proudly claims to be reconquering the city for its residents. There is a notable shift in public opinion, with more elected officials embracing positions that were once considered fringe. Previously, proponents of anti-car policies often felt like outliers, but now they find growing support. Over the past century, cars reshaped the developed world, enabling the rise of suburbs, drive-through establishments, and traffic congestion. However, the tide may be turning. Demographically, the United States has been heavily influenced by cars. American drivers cover longer distances annually compared to their counterparts in other wealthy nations. Sprawling cities and inadequate alternative transportation options make car usage a necessity for many Americans. However, there are signs of change. In 2020, only 25% of 16-year-olds in the US had a driver's license, down from 43% in 1997. The decline in driving licenses extends to young adults, with 1 in 5 Americans aged 20 to 24 lacking a license, up from 1 in 12 in 1983. The trend of fewer licensed drivers applies to all age groups under 40 and shows no sign of reversing. Furthermore, even those who possess licenses are driving less. From 1990 to 2017, teenage drivers in the US reduced their distance driven by 35%, and the age group of 20 to 34 decreased their mileage by 18%. The increase in traffic primarily comes from older drivers who grew up with cars and continue to use them in retirement. Europe experiences a similar trend. In Britain, the proportion of teenagers with driver's licenses has nearly halved in the past 20 years. Across the European Union, the number of cars has increased, but the average distance traveled by each car has declined by more than 10% since the beginning of the millennium. Big cities, in particular, exhibit a strong aversion to cars. Working individuals in European capitals like Berlin, Copenhagen, London, Paris, and Vienna are making significantly fewer driving trips than in the past. Paris has witnessed a decrease in the number of trips per resident below 1970s levels. The reasons behind young adults' declining interest in car ownership are multifaceted. The rise of the internet has facilitated online shopping and streaming entertainment at home, reducing the need for driving into town. Insecure or low-paying jobs, a decline in home ownership, and extended periods of education are factors identified in a British report as contributors to the decline in driving among young adults. The popularity of ride-hailing services like Uber and Lyft, along with high insurance premiums for young drivers, has further deterred car ownership. Additionally, the cost of owning a vehicle and driving has increased. In the US, the average cost of owning a car and driving 15,000 miles rose by 11% in 2022, reaching nearly $11,000. Cultural shifts also play a role in the declining popularity of cars among young adults. Concerns about climate change have motivated many young activists to oppose car-centric development, surprising those who expected local air pollution or cost concerns to be the primary drivers of change. The decreasing interest in cars among individuals under 40 aligns with the sentiments of city planners and urbanists, who have been advocating against cars for decades. While some major policies like congestion charging zones in London, Milan, and Stockholm have been successfully implemented. Many changes have occurred gradually at the local level. British cities have introduced low-traffic neighborhoods to discourage drivers from using residential streets as shortcuts. Oslo has removed the majority of on-street parking spaces from its city center, and Paris has significantly reduced traffic volume through measures such as removing parking spots and converting a motorway into a park. Paris also plans to reclaim space from cars and prioritize pedestrians and green spaces on the Champs-Élysées. Although opposition exists, anti-car policies are gaining support among voters. In Chicago, cycling activists now have a significant impact on local elections, challenging the historical prioritization of cars. In Oxford, residents who support traffic reduction schemes have gone so far as to man barricades to prevent drivers from removing barriers. In contrast, political opposition from suburban areas and concerns about rising housing costs in car-free city centers could impede the growth of anti-car policies. Technological advancements, such as electric cars, may also influence the future of car ownership. Electric vehicles offer potential solutions to climate change concerns and cost less to operate than fossil fuel-powered vehicles, potentially encouraging more driving. In regions where anti-car policies have been in place for an extended period, reversing these changes is rare. The removal of major roads or the pedestrianization of shopping streets typically results in long-lasting benefits that people do not want to relinquish. Studies suggest that driving habits formed in youth tend to persist, with those who start driving later in life continuing to drive less even into their 40s. If this pattern holds true, the 21st century may mark the peak of car dominance. How often do you use a car? Let us know in the comments below.